Did you know that a 1967 Washington quarter, the same kind of coin you might find in your pocket or at the bottom of a drawer, can sometimes be worth up to $6000? Even though this coin looks just like any regular 25-cent piece, some special versions of it are extremely valuable. That's what makes coin collecting so interesting. Sometimes, the most valuable coins look completely ordinary unless you know what to look for. Let's start by talking a little bit about the history of this coin. The Washington quarter was first made in the year 1932. It was created to honor George Washington, who was the first president of the United States. On the front of the coin, also called the obverse, there is a picture of George Washington facing left. Above his head is the word liberty, and to the left of his face, you'll see the words, "In God We Trust." At the bottom of the coin is the year it was made, 1967, in this case. The back of the coin, also called the reverse, shows an eagle with its wings spread out. The eagle is standing on a bunch of arrows, and below the arrows is an olive branch. These are symbols of strength and peace. The words, United States of America, are written along the top edge, and the words, quarter dollar, are written at the bottom. Before 1965, quarters were made mostly of silver, about 90% silver and 10% copper. But starting in 1965, the U.S. Mint changed the metal because silver had become too expensive. From that point on, quarters were made with a copper core and a layer of nickel on the outside. This is called a clad coin. So by 1967, all Washington quarters were made using this copper-nickel combination instead of silver. There's another thing that makes the 1967 quarter different. During the years 1965 to 1967, the U.S. Mint was not using mint marks on coins. Normally, coins have a small letter to show which mint made the coin, for example, D for Denver or S for San Francisco. But during these 3 years, no mint marks were added to quarters, dimes, or nickels. This was done to prevent people from hoarding coins based on which mint they came from. So if your 1967 quarter doesn't have a mint mark, that's completely normal. Now here's where things get really interesting. Most 1967 quarters are only worth 25 cents. That's because the U.S. Mint made over 1.5 billion of them. They are not rare in general. But some of these coins were made with mistakes, which are called errors. These error coins are much harder to find, and that's what makes them valuable to collectors. One rare type of error is called a double die. This happens when the coin is struck twice by the machine that adds the design. If the two strikes are not lined up exactly, it creates a doubled image on the coin. You might see doubling in the letters, like in the word liberty, or in the numbers of the date. Coins with this kind of error can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, especially if they are in excellent condition. Another error to look for is called an off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not lined up properly in the machine. The design might be pushed to one side, and part of it could be missing. The more off-center the strike is, the more valuable the coin might be, especially if you can still see the full date on it. There's also something called a clipped planchet error. A planchet is the blank piece of metal that turns into a coin. Sometimes the machine clips the metal wrong, and part of the coin ends up missing. It might look like someone took a small bite out of the edge. This kind of mistake makes the coin different, and collectors like that. One of the most exciting types of error is called a transitional error. This means the coin was made during a time when the mint was switching metals. A few 1967 quarters were accidentally made using leftover silver planchets from before 1965. That means the coin was supposed to be copper-nickel but was made of silver instead. If you have one of these, it could be worth thousands. So how can you tell if your 1967 quarter is special or valuable? There are a few things to look for. First, examine the coin closely. Use a magnifying glass if you have one. Look at the letters and numbers. Do any of them look doubled? That could be a sign of a double die error. Next, look at the edge of the coin. A regular 1967 quarter should have a copper-colored stripe along the edge. If your coin doesn't have that stripe and looks all silver, it might be one of the rare silver transitional error coins. You can also weigh the coin. A normal 1967 quarter made of copper-nickel should weigh about 5.67 grams. But a silver quarter will weigh closer to 6.25 grams. If your coin is heavier than normal, it might be worth getting it checked by a professional. Some collectors also listen to the sound the coin makes when dropped on a hard surface. A silver coin makes a high-pitched ringing sound, while a copper-nickel coin makes a duller sound. This isn't a perfect test, but it can give you a clue. If you think you have a rare or valuable 1967 quarter, it's a good idea to get it graded by a professional coin grading service. Companies like PCGS or NGC can examine your coin, confirm any errors, and give it an official grade. Coins that are in perfect or near-perfect condition and have rare errors are worth the most money. Some 1967 quarters with rare errors and high grades have sold at auction for $1000, $2000, and even up to $6000. Even if your coin doesn't have an error, if it looks brand new and shiny, it might still be worth more than 25 cents to a collector who wants a high-quality example from that year. So before you spend that old quarter or toss it into your change jar, take a closer look. You never know, you might be holding a rare and valuable coin in your hand without even realizing it. Coin collecting can be a fun and exciting hobby, and it teaches us a lot about history, money, and how small details can make a big difference. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends. If you found any interesting or rare coins in your collection, we'd love to hear your story in the comments. Happy collecting and good luck checking your change.